Hello, hello. How's it going, everyone? Welcome into a brand new episode of Spencer Talks NASCAR. I'm your host, Spencer Urquhart. Ready to get into another one, y'all. It's Darlington week, y'all. Darlington throwback weekend. Got a lot of throwback schemes set to take the track on Sunday. So we're going to discuss the ones that I feel are the top throwbacks for this year's Darlington spring race, which I think there's a lot of good ones this year, but I had to cut it down to my top 5 for the sake of time. And if y'all want to see all of them, they're up online. But if you those that want to feel like who were the ones to watch, who were the 5, which are the 5 schemes that seem to be the most popping for this throwback race, I've picked out my 5. So y'all can debate amongst yourselves what you all think are the 5. But I'm gonna give y'all my 5 here in just a sec here on the show, and we're also gonna preview the Darlington race. Going to discuss the drivers that I feel are the contenders. Going to go through the field first and then identify the key drivers and then pick a winner. So let's get into it, y'all. So these Darlington throwbacks, man, there's a lot of good ones this year. It was hard to pick 5. There are also, I got to say, that there are also a lot of ones that I felt weren't very good. There definitely some good ones, as we'll see. These 5 that I picked, I feel like are all bangers, but they had a few that I was like, y'all didn't understand the assignment. Like, it's just straight up. Like, there's a few that were just like Corey LaJoy's, for example. Pooh, yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna brag too much on the ones I didn't like. We're gonna stay positive here and talk about the ones that I do like, because there are definitely ones that I like. But I'm a little disappointed though in that, man, these teams, especially a team like Joe Gibbs Racing, it's like, y'all, I mean, y'all on the biggest teams, on the biggest budgets, and y'all can't put forth more of an effort to this thing. I mean, it's a cool thing they do, and it's just, to me, JGR just never answers the call with this. Where, like I say, I'm not a huge Hendrick Motorsports fan, but when it comes to this stuff, I am, man. Hendrick Motorsports kills it year after year, and it's safe to say there will be multiple Hendrick throwbacks in my top 5, because, man, those Hendrick throwbacks look clean. They look amazing. So we'll get into it here. We'll start off with my honorable mention, because, man, it was like I wanted to put this car in the top 5, but I couldn't quite do it, though. And that's Daniel Suarez's throwback to Adrian Fernandez, honoring one of the great Mexican drivers who was an IndyCar star there for a little bit, driving for, I forgot the team. It was the number 5 car there. Suarez there honoring Adrian Fernandez. So moving on now to the top 5. And at number 5, I've got the car which I had on the thumbnail, which is Chase Elliott's number 9, honoring Dale Earnhardt Jr., National Guard ski. Now let's move on to number 4. And at number 4, I've got Brad Keselowski, which is the one here that's Castro. Throwback look. So that's number 4. Moving on to number 3, you've got Alex Bowman throwing it back to Jimmy Johnson, Lowe's. All righty, yeah. So now 2 to go, y'all. 2 to go. The top 2 throwback paint schemes. What are they? Well, you're about to find out. Let's go move on to number 2. And it's an old one. And I really say I'm a history nerd, so I really appreciate this one here. That I have in the top spot, number 1, and that's Kyle Larson throwing it back to Terry Labonte's 1996 championship winning Frosted Flakes car. One throwback scheme there. Kyle Larson throwing it back to Terry Labonte, 1996 Frosted Flakes look, which, again, only thing missing, Frosted Flakes Rooster. If only they had the trademark to put him on the hood, because, man, that car is is sick. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the top throwback cars for this weekend's race. So let's now get into the preview of this weekend's race. We'll pull up the entry list here and go over all the drivers here. We'll start it off with, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it in the background. So, all right. So Ross Chastain, he's had a throwback, Busch Light throwback. Didn't make my top 5, but, I think he could be a threat here. He did really well at Darlington last year. Had 2 really good finishes, so I see him being in the mix. Well, he actually didn't have a good finish in the race here last year because he got in a wreck. I believe it was had to deal with Kyle Larson. That was pretty controversial. So, yeah, didn't get the result he wanted, but he ran up front. So he's got the speed here at Darlington. So I expect Ross Chastain to deliver a good finish this year. He needs the points. He hadn't really been running as well as he'd like, but I think he'll do well this week. And Austin Cindric, he's been struggling, wrecked out last week. Let's see here at Darlington. He hadn't had a whole lot to show so far in 4 career starts. Austin Dillon, the struggle bus continues for AD. This is one of his better tracks, though. 14.3 career average finish, 5 top 10s and 15 starts. So maybe he'll bounce back this week. Wouldn't bet on it, though. Josh Berry, he's got a pretty cool-looking throwback scheme this week. Harrison's throwing it back to his crew chief, Rodney Childers, back in his racing days. Berry, this seems like a track he could do good at. Then Kyle Larson, we know he's going to be in the mix, last week's winner. Amazing paint scheme, does really good here at Darlington. So Brad Keselowski, he's a former winner here at Darlington, looking to break his winless streak. He's come so close this season. Maybe this will be the week he gets through. Corey LaJoy, I hate that razzle dazzle Chili's crap. Oh, I hate that thing. That scheme to me sucks. But that is my opinion. If you like it, comment. You disagree. I don't think there'll be many people disagree with me on that. That thing is just it's an abomination in my opinion. And Corey LaJoy, this season has been an abomination. He has not had a good year, but maybe he'll bounce back. You never know. Kyle Busch, pretty good here at Darlington. He's been running good as of late. He's back on track. Got a little cushion now as far as the playoffs. 2 top 10s back-to-back. Spun out last week, but still managed to get a top 10. I was so mad at him, but I got to say, at least he rallied back to finish 8th. At least he didn't pout and not have a good finish. He rallied back to salvage it somewhat. Didn't get the 3rd place finish he deserved, but at least he got 8th, better than 20th or wherever he restarted there. And he's a former Darlington winner, so might be able to make some noise this week. Chase Elliott has never won here at Darlington, but he's had some good results here, so I expect him to be among the contenders. Man, Noah Gragson has been running so well this season. He's been the best Stewart-Haas driver, no question about it. I know Chase Briscoe's the one that's higher in points. He's the one that's set to make the playoffs. But if it wasn't for that penalty, Noah Gragson, I think, would be ahead of him because Noah Gragson got a hit with a huge points penalty early on in the year. But, man, he has been killing it as of late. So wouldn't shock me if he does good again this week. Then Denny Hamlin. Man, Denny Hamlin almost got his 4th win of the season last week, y'all. I feel like Denny has been kind of boom or bust this year. Like, he hadn't been quite as consistent as Larson. But, man, when he's been on, he's really on. And Darlington's one of his better tracks. So it wouldn't shock me if he got win number 4 this week. Then Ryan Blaney, man, the defending champion Ryan Blaney has been struggling lately. I remember he had a lull period last year in the summer, but this year he started off good. But, man, lately he has not been getting it done. We'll see if Blaney can bounce back. But so as the past few weeks have been tough sledding for him and all his Penske teammates. Joey Logano struggling bad. That whole team is just not on the right page right now. Then Chase Briscoe, he's still been doing pretty good. Darlington's a track that I don't think has been too kind to him throughout his career. No top 10 and 6 starts, but you never know. Stewart-Haas been running a little better than I expected, but there's a lot of rumors swirling around them, especially with the news of Michael McDowell now going to Spire. Rumors that Front Row and Stewart-Haas might be merging, and in that case, who knows who's going to have a ride. But I think it's safe to say Chase Briscoe, I mean, he's a Ford guy. He'll have a ride when all this is said and done. He'll for sure have a ride next year with one of the Ford teams. So he's pretty safe. And in a way, Noah Gragson's been running. I would think they'd want to keep him on board. Josh Berry might be on a little shaky ground. And Ryan Preece, it's looking pretty certain that he's going to be showing the door. But yeah, Kaz Grala back in the Rick Ware 15 this week. Derek Krause going to be in the Colic 16. Don't expect either of them to make noise. Chris Buescher, he's so close. I was like, man, RFK has been heartbreaking if you're an RFK fan. Brad Keselowski at Talladega, then Chris Buescher last week. Man, they've been the best Ford team, man. I got to say, they've been better than Penske this year. RFK's been carrying that Ford banner, and it's been tough sledding for Ford as a whole. But, man, I got to say, RFK Racing, it wouldn't shock me if either Keselowski or Buescher snuck a win here sooner rather than later. And it could come as soon as this week. Buescher he's such an underrated driver. He's so sneaky. I feel like he's not a very aggressive, flashy driver, but man, he is someone that he's a wheelman. He gets results. And then speaking of wheelmen, Martin Truex Jr., man, still searching for that first win, but almost had it last week at Kansas, running really good at the end. And I don't know why they took 4 tires. I'm not a James Small fan. I've been complaining about him. I don't know. I don't think he's a very good crew chief. But, I mean, Truex is running very well still, even though he's getting up in age. So he'll definitely be a threat this week. Christopher Bell, he's been slumping lately, but this could be a good track for him to bust out of it. Darlington, a very good track for JGR. So I would think C. Bell will do pretty good this week. Harrison Burton, great looking paint scheme, but not so great looking results. So I doubt he'll do much. Joey Logano mentioned about hitting the panic button recently. Man, he is panicking. They're panicking at Team Penske, but sometimes you got to hit rock bottom in order to bounce back. So maybe that's what they needed. They needed a little hit the reset. So Logano's a guy that's done good here in the past. So we'll see if maybe he can bounce back. I wouldn't bet on it, though. I think it's going to take a few weeks for them to right that ship. Bubba Wallace. Bubba's been kind of slumping lately. Bubba, I think, is now out of the top 16, but, still pretty fast. I mean, he's on a good team there at 23-11, so I would think Bubba could get a pretty good result this week. William Byron, he is the defending winner of this race, and we all know Willie B is capable of winning no matter where we go, so he should be among the contenders. Daniel Hemrick, Colleague, they have not been very impressive, so wouldn't expect him to do too much. Michael McDowell, now a lame duck at front row. That's interesting, but, I think he'll be all right. Yeah, I think he'll still run pretty good. He's a veteran. I don't think he'll be distracted too much by all the stuff. But yeah, he's officially going to Spire in 2025, and Todd Gilliland, I think he'll be safe at front row, and they've been building momentum there, so, I think he'll be all right. Ryan Preece, he's the one that's more than likely going to be out the door at Stewart-Haas. So he's going to need to step up. He's going to need to show prospective teams that he's a contender. So look for Ryan Preece to really try to step it up these next few weeks. John Hunter Nemechek, Eric Jones back for legacy. Eric Jones, a guy that's won twice here at Darlington. Not many people talk about him as a weekly race winning contender, but he could be in the mix there. And Tyler Reddick, he'll be in the mix. He's good here at Darlington. Ricky Stenhouse, probably not going to do a whole lot, but he's recently signed his extension with JTG, so they're all in with him for the foreseeable future. Alex Bowman, he's had a few decent results here, so he could maybe make some noise. Justin Haley, Rick Ware, I mean, it's just, Rick Ware, it's Rick Ware. They're not anywhere near being a contender. Ty Gibbs, he's been struggling a little bit lately. Could bounce back this week, though. This is a good track for JGR. Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar. Zane Smith, not really done much as a rookie, but with the news of McDowell going to Spire, this could mean that Zane Smith, I think it said that 71, he'll be taking the car that Smith's in. Hopefully for Smith's sake, this means he'll be able to latch on with Trackhouse, and if Trackhouse can get a third charter with Stewart-Haas likely having charters up for sale, hopefully Smith could catch on with them, although he hadn't shown a whole lot of promise as a rookie. And Carson Hocevar, he's shown a good amount of promise. I think he'll be with Spire for the foreseeable future unless a bigger team would scoop him up. And then Daniel Suarez, he has not been that impressive, but he does have that win this year at Atlanta, so that gives him a safety net as far as the playoffs. But anyway, that's the field, y'all. I'd say the top contenders, y'all. I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, Kyle Larson, the betting favorite, he'll obviously be in the mix. Him and Denny Hamlin, I'd say the two top dogs and Martin Truex, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, all going to be in the mix. I mean, obviously, any of those 5 can win, but my pick to win this week, y'all, is Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott gets his 2nd win of the year. He's never won at Darlington before, but he's been running so well this year, and I think he's due for another win. I think he's going to do really well this week, and the war of attrition, long race suits him well. I think he'll do good. You know, he won at Texas, 1.5 miles, Darlington. It's different style of intermediate, but it's still an intermediate, and he's been so good at these kind of tracks. So I think he's gonna bring that throwback to Dale Jr. home to victory lane. So I think Chase Elliott's the pick to win, but Kyle Larson, his teammate, won't make it easy, and he's also in a cool throwback scheme. So we'll see who can get it done there. But I think a Hendrick car gets it done. If not, then probably a JGR car, Hamlin or Truex, or maybe Tyler Reddick. But, you know, probably be a lot of usual suspects up there. Eric Jones could be a dark horse. I mean, I know he's been out of car a couple weeks now, but if he's feeling good, which I think he is, you know, I think he'll do well. And then Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher, keep an eye on those RFK Fords. If a Ford's going to win this week, it'll probably be RFK. They've been Ford's best bet this season, and a couple of sleeper Chevrolets to watch out for. Ross Chastain and my boy Kyle Busch. Both are solid here at Darlington, but I'm going to go with Chase Elliott as my pick to win. That's going to do it here, y'all. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Enjoy the Darlington Throwback weekend, and we'll be back next week here on Spencer Talks NASCAR. Peace out, y'all.